we know that that person agenda to be voted on, because this is the council laying down for the mayor, for the administration. The executive branch, the executive of this city, has a layer of bureaucrats and unelected people, and I love them all. That's not the point. But the city council is directly connected to the people. We talked about special meetings, and that silencing the voice of the people. This agenda item silences the voice of the representatives of the people. Are we going to let that happen? Are we going to vote yes on this agenda item? It's supposed to be two separate and distinct branches of government, the legislative branch and the executive branch. Is the legislative branch going to lay down like a wrestler and let it be counted 1, 2, 3 for the count? Be silenced, because that's a power of the council to be able to speak for the people, be able to bring contracts and agreements. Yes, it can be done. And this is what the point of this resolution is, to silence the council, to put the council in a corner, to put the council down for the 3 count. To me, I find that unacceptable, and that's why this should be voted no. That's what I'm here to petition and to submit to the council. So I mean, the people will see. The people here in this council will see who's going to sell out. Who's going to sell out Niagara Falls? Who votes yes for this? Who's going to sell us out? Because that's what this is doing. It's selling us out. It's playing kayfabe. It's wrestling. It's wrestling. Oh, that's fake. We can say that. Controlled opposition. Everybody know about the Harlem Globetrotters and the Washington Generals. Everyone knew the Harlem Globetrotters was going to win. Why? Because the Washington Generals was going to fake the loss. Are we going to fake the funk on this one? Are we going to be sold out with this agenda item? So I submit that to the council, please. Let alone, no tabling, because maybe they didn't get across the first time. There's no tabling. This should be voted no. The council cannot be silenced, and it should not be silenced. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Wendy Doucette. I live at 2931 Grand Avenue, and I'm not real familiar with the agenda, but I do want to speak on behalf of at least my own animal that is also a resident here in Niagara Falls. I believe that. Mhm. Okay. Sure.
The meeting, okay?
Sure.
Thank you. There are no other speakers.
Okay. Any administrative updates?
Okay. So what I wanted to provide you tonight, and I told you at the last meeting, we're doing our year-end close for 2023. It takes a little while to close out all the funds in the accounts between the general fund, parking, train station, tourism fund. Um, so we're still making progress on that, but there are 2 accounts within the general fund that we do have now final numbers on, and they are significant revenue line items that I frequently provide updates on, but just wanted to give you an update related to our sales tax and our HRU sales tax. So what I have here, and I apologize if this is small for those maybe in the back, I tried to get the table in there to show the full year. So this is our county sales tax figures. And what I have is by month, the 2023 actual and the 2022. So you can just compare at least last year to this year. And you can see at the, month over month, for the most part, 2023 exceeded 2022 figures. And at the end of the year, we were a little more than $13 million in county sales tax collections, compared to almost $12.2 million last year. It's the first time we've ever hit the $13 million figure from a county sales tax perspective. We had a budget figure of $11.5 million for 2023. So we were around a little more than $1.5 million over budget when it comes to our county sales tax. Represents almost a 7% increase from 2022, which is obviously positive news. The next slide, our HRU sales tax, similar framework here in terms of how the graph looks. So we have all months for the year, 2023 actual compared to 2022 actual. And again, you can look month over month how the results were. Some months better than others, but at the end of the year, we collected $9,435,000 in 2023 compared to $9.4 million in 2022. So almost flat, but almost about a 0.5% increase year over year. But the positive note here is that we had a $8.15 million budget figure for 2023. So you're looking at about almost $1.3 million over budget between for this account. So between the two, we're almost at about $2.9 million over budget from a revenue perspective. That's that's obviously positive news. The final impacts of these being over budget, as we close out the general fund revenue, as certain accounts have surpluses, other accounts may not reach their overall their budgeted figure. So obviously, the more accounts that we have over budget helps our end of the day revenue figure. So just because these two lines, are about $2.9 million, at the end of the day, our surplus might be more, it might be less from just a revenue perspective. So as we continue to close out, we'll keep you updated. But these two account codes are definitely a good start in terms of where we're going to end 2023, and hopefully this continues into 2024. That's all I have. With the county, there are the state controller's office releases monthly reports that sort of identify what some of the main factors are, and that's something I can send your way so you get a little bit more detailed. A lot of times it's what's the cost of fuel might be an impact. Ever since the online sales tax collections has gone into place, I think it's probably been maybe 2 years now. We've seen increases, from that, since it wasn't something that was collected in the past. But I can send you sort of what the state controller releases for driving factors, maybe for.
Trends continuing in a positive way as we move into 2024, or you think it'll stabilize?
I certainly hope so. You never really know what might happen, and we try to stay conservative from a budget perspective in case there are decreases. For county sales tax, we kept that figure budgeted in 2024 similar to 2023. So if there are negative impacts on those figures, staying relatively conservative from that perspective, we might still have a surplus at the end of 2024. Maybe not as large, but you never want to be too aggressive when you're budgeting for that in case something does happen, and there are negative impacts to those figures. So. But I can send you what the state releases for impacts, and, you can kind of compare us to other municipalities and things like other regions within the state as well. So.
Community happenings, do we have any announcements? Okay, all right, moving on to item number 4, review and adoption of the agenda. We've had the agenda since last Friday with all the documentation. You've all had a chance to review it, so I'm not going to go over every item by item. Are there any amendments or motion to amend?
Motion to amend.
Okay.
Adding item number 10, adoption of special rules governing presentations at regular city council meetings.
Okay, we have an amendment.
Mr. Chairperson.
to,
Mr. Chairperson, if I could interrupt for a minute. Before anyone makes a second, because it is a walk-on item, I think it would be best if it was read into the record. And since I'm most familiar with it, I'll take care of doing that. And then so that everyone in the gallery can hear what the proposed add-on item is. And then we can see if there's a second. Would you please? Yep, thank you.
So, resolution number 2024 relative to the adoption of special rules of order governing presentations at regular meetings of the City Council. Whereas the City Council has long permitted individuals and organizations of all varieties to make presentations at its regular meetings on topics and/or proposals deemed to have significant relevance to the City of Niagara Falls, New York, and its residents. And whereas such presentations have been allowed to be given without adequate or consistent procedural safeguards and rules that, among other things, would help ensure the Council's compliance with New York's open meetings law. And whereas the latest edition of Robert's Rules of Order doesn't provide procedural rules for such presentations, but it does permit the City Council to adopt special rules of order to address matters of decorum, time limits, and the like. And whereas to help keep council meetings professional and focused, the Council unanimously wishes to adopt a series of rules and procedures to govern presentations at its regular meetings. Now therefore be it resolved that the following rules will apply to the presentation portion of each council meeting. 1, any individual or organization wishing to make a presentation during the presentation portion of a regular meeting must complete an application form that is available from the city clerk's office. Completed applications must then be returned to the city clerk, who will provide a complete copy of the application to the council chairperson. The council chairperson, in consultation with the council members, will review each application received and exercise his or her discretion as to whether the presentation will be allowed, and if so, the earliest date on which it will be allowed, provided that the applicant meets all the preconditions set forth below. The applicant understands that materials it wishes to provide to council members, either before or during a presentation, are a matter of public interest, and that all public meetings of the City Council are subject to requirements of New York's open meetings law. The applicant will therefore make available in PDF or other digital formats complete copies of all materials it intends to provide to council members before a presentation, as well as those materials it intends to present during the presentation. All such materials must be delivered to the city clerk no later than noon on the day that is 1 week before the presentation. All materials submitted 1 week before presentation will be reviewed by the city clerk and the council chairperson, and if any such materials are deemed inappropriate, the scheduled presentation will be canceled. And the city clerk will so notify the applicant. Materials that must be delivered to the city clerk 1 week before a scheduled presentation include, but are not limited to, any PowerPoint, photo, video, or similar medium that the applicant wishes to have displayed either on the council's overhead projection screens or elsewhere in the council's meeting place. The council will make every effort to display such materials on its overhead projection screens, but makes no guarantees against possible technical difficulties that might prevent such display. No matter how many people the applicant chooses to address the council during the presentation portion of the regular meeting, the total time allotted for the applicant's presentation will not exceed 10 minutes. It is up to the applicant to decide how that 10 minutes will be divided between multiple speakers. All speakers addressing the council during the presentation portion of the meeting will direct their remarks solely to the council. There will be no question and answer session, either with the council or members of the public attending the meeting.
So the motion is to add
It is to add this item.
to the agenda, to our agenda as item number 10.
I will second.
Okay. Do we have any questions about it? Okay. We can move that to a vote. Anyone opposed? Yep. Okay, we'll move it to a vote. Move it.
Councilmember Archie?
Yes.
Councilmember Bax?
Yes.
Councilmember Miles?
Yes.
Person Perry? 5 yeas.
Okay. So now we have the agenda, our new agenda adapted. We'll move on to our review of the minutes.
With the council's vote to add that item on, item 10 on, the next step is to ask, is there a motion to conduct a roll call vote to adopt the agenda as amended?
We adopt, is there a roll call?
Make a motion to vote to adopt it.
Adopt that, no, we just did, okay.
Second.
Ask if there are any questions or opposition.
No? Okay. Okay, roll call. Call for the roll.
Councilmember Archie?
Yes.
Councilmember Bax?
Yes.
Councilmember Miles?
Yes.
Councilmember Zajac?
Yes.
Council Chairperson Perry?
Please.
5 yeas.
Okay, if there are no corrections, then we'll move on. The minutes are adopted. Move on to informational items from the city clerk.
Reports of licenses issued and collections made in the office of the city clerk during the months of November and December 2023 have been received and filed.
Okay,
We're now at section 7 of the agenda, items for council action.
on to the action items at this point. Action item number 1.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the council vote to approve the HUD home grant for $198,000 to pay for verified construction expenses incurred by RJ Niagara LLC to rehabilitate a 9-unit building at 401 10th Street, subject to the conditions outlined in the mayor's letter dated January 17th, 2024.
Do we have a second to that? Who's,
Councilman
Mr.
Zajac.
Zajac seconded it? Okay, any discussion?
So I do have one question. So it is based upon reimbursement, is my understanding. Who is going to review the property? Is that like code enforcement going out? Like who's going to monitor?
To review that
To actually
the
say
work
like
has
it's
been done.
happening, like, hey, we billed you for this. Just to know that it's really there.
That's a good question, and so the answer to that is our Department of Code Enforcement has multiple inspectors, so this is a major rehabilitation. I'm sure it's going to involve plumbing, electrical, all those things, and the code department has specialists that will be looking at each of those items. Permits will have to be pulled from the Department of Code, so there will be quite a bit of oversight from start to finish during the work phase. I'm also told that community development staff will have a role in supervising the project also. And Councilman, you are correct to emphasize that it's reimbursement, which means that the developer has to show that they paid the expenses up front and out of pocket before they're entitled to get reimbursement under this grant.
Is there a time frame for which the developer needs to complete the work to receive the reimbursement? I don't think I didn't see a time frame in here.
I'm not sure that there is a hard and fast deadline, but I do know this, that if this grant is approved, it's only enough to fund rehabilitation of 2 of the 9 units, and therefore the developer is also seeking similar funding from another government source, not the city. And so there's a lot of moving parts here. You know, theoretically, if the city votes tonight to go ahead with this grant and the project doesn't get funding for the other units, that could be the end of the project. We may see nothing happen, or they may figure out financing from other sources. So it's not going to be a quick process.
Funding for something else, to say that they have support, kind of.
Well, if you approve this grant, it will help reimburse the developer for their upfront costs to rehab 2 of the 9 units, and they're seeking funding to address the remainder of those units.
I have a question for that space. It was mid-November of 2020. It was the
Eleanor building. I don't know if you remember that situation with that's named Gary Aminoff. Something similar where they wanted to use the grant and to rehab, but code enforcement actually stopped them midway and told them that they didn't have adequate parking. So, and from 401 10th Street, from what I'm seeing, it's not that much parking. As a matter of fact, overnight you can't park at all on some of the adjacent streets. So do they have space for parking? Because I would hate for us to kind of be in that same predicament again if we vote this yes and then we get stopped halfway in the middle again.
Councilman, I do remember the building you're talking about, the Eleanor apartment building. My memory is that there was no city grant money that was involved. What was involved was the project developer for the Eleanor building had to go through our zoning enforcement officer, and I believe the zoning board of appeals to seek a variance from our zoning code, which requires a certain percentage of parking spaces for apartment buildings that are no longer grandfathered. To make a long story short, that one of the issues that the Eleanor face is that their project proposal increased the number of units from what was there previously. The second complication was that that building was dark, vacant for many years, and those 2 factors caused the zoning enforcement officer to say that you are going to need some additional parking than what you already have on site. It would be jumping ahead to try to predict how the zoning enforcement officer is going to look at this particular project for which the grant funding is being requested. But certainly if parking is required, the developer will be told that they have to come up with a solution for parking, just as the Eleanor owner was. Will it cause the grant money to be lost? I can't speculate on that. I don't know.
Okay, now we have a roll call vote.
Councilmember Archie?
Yes.
Councilmember Miles? Councilmember Zajac? Council Chairperson Perry? 5 yeas.
Adopted. Action item number 2. Approved for request for community missions repurpose of $55,000 grant.
Yep,
Do we have
so,
a motion to approve?
So, Mr. Chairperson, I move that the council vote to approve the request of the community missions to repurpose a $55,000 grant previously approved by the council so that all such funds may be redirected to the rapid rehousing and homeless prevention program, and authorize the mayor to execute any documents necessary to effectuate such change, all as more fully outlined in the mayor's letter dated January 17th, 2024.
Do we have a second to the motion? Second. Dante seconds it.
Oh, yes, wait. Does them repurposing this money stop them from applying for CDBG again this year? Like it doesn't allow them to not reapply like for a new round of funding, just given the homelessness situation that folks are experiencing. Like what I'm saying is they're still allowed to get in resources after they.
That's correct.
Okay.
It would not prevent them from seeking CDBG funds in future years.
Okay, is there any opposition to the motion? Okay, if there's no opposition, please call the roll.
Councilmember Archie?
Yes.
Yes.
Councilmember Miles?
Yes.
Councilmember Zajac? Council Chairperson Perry?
Yes.
5 yeas.
5 days, the motion is. Okay, action item number 3, approval for grant of $22,400. Do we have a motion to approve?
Yes, Mr. Chairperson, I move that the council vote to approve a grant of $22,400 to the Niagara Community Action Program using unexpended City 2020 CDBG-CV funds, and authorize the mayor to effectuate any documents necessary to effectuate such a change, all as more fully outlined in the mayor's letter dated January 17th, 2024.
Okay, so we have a second to the motion.
Second.
Which- Brian seconds the motion. Any questions, information, conversation? Nothing? Anyone any opposition to the motion? Okay, no opposition, please call the roll.
Councilmember Archie?
Yes.
Councilmember Bax?
Yes.
Councilmember Miles?
Yes.
Councilmember Zajac?
Yes.
Council Chairperson Perry?
Yes,
5 yeas.
5 yeas have the motion carried. Action item number 4, approve, do we have a motion to approve action item number 4?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move that the council vote to approve and authorize the mayor to execute a 1-year municipal services agreement with Solar Simplified LLC at no cost to the city, as well as more fully outlined in the mayor's letter dated January 17th, 2024.
Do we have a second to the motion?
Second.
Okay, Dante seconds the motion. Okay, do we have any requests for information or
Yeah.
comments?
Yeah, this is gonna be a lot. So with this program, this company will be responsible for community outreach, engaging residents to get them informed. And I guess my second part of that is.
Yes, the answer to your first question is
Yes, and I would hope that we would have opportunity to do it in a different way than what I usually see, and by that I mean there are certain vendors that are outside of Tops and other stores that just kind of wait sign people up and they're shifted to another utility and kind of don't know what they're signing up for because they're getting something free. So just to say, hopefully we can frame that in a way that's beneficial to folks, so they can understand the technology and actually get the reduction that they're due.
My understanding is that it'll be a direct mail marketing campaign, and they'll follow up based on responses from citizens that are interested after reviewing the materials that are directly marketed through the mail.
Just asking, so what the plan is this company's gonna come in, send out mailers to all the customers, and they can ask to have them come and, is that, and give them service?
Yes, the company will be explaining the advantages of their program, and I'm sure the materials are going to address the advantages of investing in basically having an investment in a solar farm outside of the city versus investing in solar panels that you would have installed on the roof of your house. And there are certain advantages to the solar farm model as opposed to hiring someone to install in your house. So if citizens are interested in exploring it further, they can outreach to the vendor and then make up their own minds after hearing all the pros and cons as to whether they want to sign up with the program. If they do, each person, each household that signs up, there is a kind of a financial reward to the city for those who sign up.
In regards to the financial reward, reimbursed back to the city for each household that signs up, is there a cap, a maximum number of households that can sign up for this program, or is it unlimited to the residents?
So far as I know, there is no cap. It would be available to any and all citizens.
Is there a level of transparency as to where the savings actually will be coming from? I mean, we can speak to the solar panels, and we can talk about like how it would help us as a city. Is there a way that the average resident can go online and be able to see this in more of a layman's term and be able to kind of like separate the differences and get understanding exactly is what they would be signing up for before they get this mailer and be asked to participate in this?
I don't know. I don't know how many touches the vendor will make with a citizen. It could be driven by the number of questions that the citizen has after receiving the initial outreach. So there's going to be some conversation back and forth. But my understanding is that according to the material that we've been provided, people who sign up for the program will see a 10% savings on monthly electric bills. So that's the company's promise to people who sign up. As to whether there's a website that citizens will be able to check with to see if they're making the 10% savings, I'm not sure. I mean, they would have to watch their utility bills and see what kind of credit they might be getting.
Like, let's say I'm looking at my bill and I've signed up with them and I don't see that saving. Is there something that, is there, what's the alternative? What is there a way that, they can opt out of it at that point?
I don't know the answer to that question. It would certainly be a matter between the citizen customer of the company and the company. We may not know if those conversations ever occur because the communication would be directly between customer citizens and this vendor.
Is there any opposition to the motion? Okay, Ms. Elizabeth, please call the roll.
Councilmember Archie?
Yes.
Councilmember Bax?
Yes.
Councilmember Miles?
Yes.
Councilmember Zajac,
Yes.
Council Chairperson Perry?
Yes,
5 yeas.
the motion is adopted. Action item number 5. Do we have a motion to approve action item number 5?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the council approve contract award to Troutman Associates pursuant to a request for proposals to provide the city with professional design services and authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with that firm. All is more fully outlined in the mayor's letter dated January 17th, 2024.
Okay. Do we have a second to the motion? Okay, Dante seconds it. Okay. Any discussion or request for information?
This was the same vendor from last year, right? Is there any change to the cost?
What do you mean by change to the cost?
To what they're billing for the year?
So the vendor was selected last year. Now these items, the amounts noted on the agenda item would be the estimates for each of these projects.
I'm asking if they also managed prior to what they're about to do this year, right?
Yeah, they may have managed other projects, but for this specific award, it's for these the 5 noted here.
So no change in cost.
If I may just interject that this is a request for proposal process, and Troutman was selected as the best choice of the variety. So Leanne in our purchasing department and her team handle those and vet every one of them, and it's their judgment that this is the best of the bunch that responded. And it would be hard to compare this item with Troutman's past work, because as you see from the 5 projects listed on the mayor's letter dated January 17, the amounts vary from project to project. So there's no good way to compare apples and oranges, and it's by the project.
Opposition to the motion? Okay, Ms. Elizabeth, please call the roll.
Councilmember Archie?
Yes.
Councilmember Bax?
Yes.
Councilmember Miles?
Yes.
Councilmember Zajac,
Yes.
Council Chairperson Perry?
Yes,
5 yeas.
5 yeas, the motion is approved. Okay. Action item number 6. We have a motion to approve. Go ahead, Trey.
Yep. Mr. Chairman, I move that the council vote to approve and authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with E-Facility Solution Incorporated, DBA Militello Property Group, for property management at Niagara Falls City Market. All is fully more outlined in the mayor's letter dated January 17th, 2024.
Okay. Dante seconds the motion. Okay, do we have any requests for information? Discussion items? No? Okay, any opposition to the motion? Okay, Elizabeth, please call the roll.
Councilmember Archie?
Yes.
Councilmember Bax?
Yes.
Councilmember Miles?
Yes.
Councilmember Zajac,
Yes.
Council Chairperson Perry?
Yes,
5 yeas.
5 yeas, the motion is adopted. Okay, action item number 7, resolution relative to the acknowledgement of separation of powers under the city charter. Do I have a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairperson, I move that the council vote to relative to the resolution number 7, relative to the acknowledgement of separation of powers under the city charter.
Do I have a second? I have no second. Okay, if I have no second, well, if I have no second, then I guess I'll second it and open it up for discussion. We're at the point of debate here. I'd like to bring this up for a informational meeting. This resolution simply states that it simply states what is already in the charter. It is no different than what is in the charter. And all it is asking is a reaffirmation that something that we have already stated in our oath for office, is that, you know, the mayor has the right to negotiate. The city council does not negotiate, but the city council does approve anything subject to that negotiation. With that in mind, I'm assuming we're going to have some opposition to this. Could I hear any opposition?
Sure. Personally, I think it's an insult. I think it's unnecessary. We all swore to take an oath and to uphold this Constitution and our charter. Charter doesn't need to be, the charter is already ratified. We don't need to re-ratify this charter. And to me, it looks more like a public scolding. We already took the oath to, you know, uphold this. It's really no need. So personally, I'm abstaining from voting, solely because I'm not going to even entertain it, because it doesn't even make sense, and it's insulting to the council body for this to even come across our desk.
I understand, and what I would like to say is there have been many wounds in the past between the council and administration, and my number one goal, and as I stated before, is I want to bring everyone back together again so we could work as a united house going forward for the betterment of our city and the people of Niagara Falls. And I think this resolution would help heal some wounds. If no one would want to join me in that effort, you know, I would like to move it to a vote to either, you know, if you don't want to vote with me, I would like to move it for a vote.
Let me say, for me, being a new council person, I just acknowledged that I would respectfully adhere to the city charter to the best of my ability. And I don't think that has changed. This, however, I believe comes about because of some previous things that I'll say that for me, I wasn't a part of. And in that same vein, I'd say I would abstain as well. But I want to also say this, that we need to stop. I wish we would not talk about ourselves outside of the administration. We are the administration. We all, like if we're talking togetherness, we need to include ourselves in the wording and verbiage of what we're bringing out of our mouths. We separate with language, and I don't think we need to do that. And it just perpetuates what's happening. So that's where I'm at. I'm abstaining. I couldn't say no because that would be going against the oath, but I do abstain on this vote.
And with everybody here tonight. This has come up, I think, 3 times and in 3 different versions, 3 different formats to vote upon. And as Mr. Archie said, and as Councilman Miles has also stated, on January 1st, 2022, I took the oath to to uphold the duties according to the entire charter, not just this section here, but the entire charter, which I take very personal and very seriously. So while I do agree with everything in here, what's in here is fact, is true. It was in the charter that we have today, as well as almost word for word in the previous charter that was, just before that one. So I do agree with what's in here. However, I take the oath. It does mean a great deal to me. I do hold that in high esteem and standard. Therefore, I will continue to do that, and I will abstain as well.
Well, just want something? No. Okay. I hate to regurgitate anything that my colleagues have said, as each individually have had discussions about this. As Councilmember Back said, this is the 3rd time this has come up in its own different little way. And while the reference to the portions of the charter in here are what's in the charter, and there's no disputing that that's what we swore the oath to, I do have to say that while this is only our 25th month up here on the council for Councilmember Back, Miles, and myself, I can't recall ever voting on a specific section of the charter before as its own item. Having this conversation with Councilmember Miles, I believe, as he was on the other side of this dais at the podium for many years before joining the dais, he also kind of reiterated the same thing, that he doesn't recall something this specific out of one portion of the charter coming up. Not saying it couldn't have, but at least in our 25 months up here, I have not seen it. So in the same breath of my colleagues, I will also be abstaining from voting on this.
Okay, with that being said, then I will withdraw the resolution. Item number 7 would withdraw that resolution. Let's move on to action item number 8. The resolution relative to the council termination of separate legal counsel. Can I get a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the council vote to approve resolution number 8 relative to the council's termination of separate legal counsel.
Can we get a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Mr. Zajac, okay. Any comments or items for discussion or information? Yes, Brian?
Edited?
I'm sorry, I didn't,
Was there an edit to this final agenda item?
not since it was
No?
shared with you on Friday. There's been no changes.
Are you
Good.
making a motion you would
I'm-
like to make a motion to amend? Is that what I'm hearing?
If we're not edited, because I think there was a discussion about an edit to this.
Mr. Boyd, the question it's in the 3rd paragraph as well as the last paragraph, where it's listing Hodgson Russ LLP as the sole attorney.
I believe Mr. Archie wants to make a motion to take the last section, be it further resolved to eliminate that from the resolution.
The last paragraph.
Yes,
Are
sir.
there any questions that I can answer about what,
Well,
is it the reference to Hodgson Russ as the sole attorney?
Yes.
So that's just a statement of fact regarding the Centennial Park project and the related court proceedings regarding eminent domain. Hodgson Russ LLP is the sole attorney of record for the city of Niagara Falls. So what that means is that it would be inappropriate for NFR to contact me directly, even though I'm the deputy court counsel, regarding eminent domain. They know that Hodgson Russ is the attorney of record. They've been the attorney of record on all court cases from Supreme Court up to the Appellate Division 4th Department and even to the Court of Appeals. So if there's any further litigation, until such time as that Hodgson Russ no longer represents us, I don't have a crystal ball, but I don't foresee that happening. They are the experts, more so than Chris Mazur or myself. I'm comfortable with them. I don't see them not being the sole attorney for the city. Is there any other concern about?
I think where the problem comes in with the phrase is including but not limited to.
I think it's in regards to like the conflict of interest conversation, and that kind of started this.
Kind of like try to put that together. If there was a point, as happened earlier this year, where the corporation council told the city council that there was a conflict of interest, if that were to happen for any reason with Hodgson Russ, would that handcuff the council for other attorneys?
Okay, so nothing in this resolution affects the council's right and ability to retain outside counsel, just as it did last year, in the event that you ask the corporation council for advice or to do something which puts us in a conflict. And that's what happened last year. We were placed in a conflict situation, and we announced that. And upon announcing that conflict situation, that triggered your right as the council to seek out an outside attorney to provide the council with independent advice on the specific issue that we had a conflict, that the corporation council had a conflict. So I can assure you that nothing in this resolution waters down or interferes with your right should that scenario play out again. It's my hope that it won't, but if it were to, you would be able to do exactly what you did last year and retain outside counsel.
So in the same breath, just to follow up, if that is the case, would taking out where it's mentioning Hodgson Russ, like I said, in the third paragraph on the first page and that last page, would it have any detriment to the resolution?
Well, I would prefer that it not be removed, the simple fact that that's there to signal to NFR and its officers and its attorneys that when they have a communication to relay related to litigation, whether it's eminent domain or a proposal to come up with a sale price, those conversations need to occur with Hodgson Russ. So this isn't really solely about reminding council, it's reminding the public at large and also NFR, its people, and its attorneys. The attorneys are under an ethical obligation to communicate with each other. If there's a negotiation that's to be had, as you've all, although you abstained on the last resolution, I think I heard you all acknowledge that the charter says what it says, and it very clearly identifies the mayor as the only person and officer of the city that can negotiate. And so any discussions about negotiating away the current conflict between the city and NFR, all those need to be routed through Hodgson Russ. And if there's a negotiation to occur, it's got to be done by the mayor. So I would not encourage removal of that last be it further resolved clause.
And I appreciate that. But then if we did amend it, would it make this resolution not achieve the goal that it's intended to achieve? Does that make sense? Am I asking that correctly?
No, I mean,
I don't want to talk over. I apologize.
you're right on. Actually, because I'm glad that you mentioned how it kind of relates to the last agenda, because if it's something that's already in place, this does nothing. It changes absolutely nothing.
Well, I hope it would, because what happened last year should not have happened. The effort to negotiate away the eminent domain proceeding should have been through Hodgson Russ and the mayor's office. And
Question, so are they, like you said in the beginning, Hodgson and Russ are the sole attorney for this Centennial project right now, right?
at the moment, yes.
Right.
And
So-
I don't foresee that changing.
So this being placed on here has really no bearing to us getting rid of Palumbo as our attorney, because we're okay with that. But the extra verbiage that's on here that really has, we're eliminating our connection with Mr. Palumbo as our legal counsel. Has nothing to do with sending a message to it. I don't care about NFI right now. I care about, let's close this chapter of the book, get rid of him, because we're done. And then, because this does the same thing that it did last time. Remember when we spoke on having multiple agenda items inside of one item? This does that because we're doing two things. We're trying to, close out one chapter, but we're also adding this whole extra verbiage. If it's something that, our mayor wants to, create a resolution that has something to do with this, then he can do that, but not with this.
I'll speak for myself. Okay. Rather than, I'm not speaking for the mayor. I would hope that that last paragraph remains in place for the reason that I've already indicated, that, well, maybe I didn't express it clearly enough, but it's not just that you're discontinuing the services of Attorney Jeff Palumbo, but I'm also hopeful that this resolution will prevent the same scenario from playing out. What played out last year in 2023, I believe that final paragraph is an important protection against a replay of what caused the necessity of retaining Mr. Palumbo in the first place. And that is if the council, has gotten the message and NFR has gotten the message, then there shouldn't be efforts to negotiate an agreement between NFR and the council. Those have to go through the attorney and to the mayor, who, as I think you've all acknowledged this evening, is the only person who can negotiate on behalf of the city.
So here's what I'm saying. I'm leaving with this because this is another thing I don't really want to entertain. If this is something that is already in place and our mayor and the administration wants to send a message to us and to NFR, then the mayor should come here and tell us himself and not put it in our agenda items and try to send messages kind of like through council, through this way. But come tell us personally, and then we can handle, because this is business. This is business.
All I can say is that I'm communicating my
I
opinion.
said I'm done. I said that was the last thing, I promise.
All I did in talking to you earlier was to communicate my professional opinion as deputy corp counsel, and I stand by the opinion that I rendered.
The resolution as it stands, we have a motion on the floor to approve the resolution relative to the council termination and separation of legal counsel in its entirety. Okay. Now, we discussed it. Do we have opposition to the motion?
No, so like if we didn't vote, we'd still be paying.
No, you only pay for the attorney as you use them. We don't.
Yeah.
We have to use them to pay for them.
Formal, we're not.
But he's still on.
Well, he's still on contract. This is the end of the contract with him.
Yes,
Which is what we
he's still
want.
on retainer right now.
But he only gets paid as per when we reach out to him and we have some type of, so as long as we're not talking to him, then he's not getting a dime.
If we pick up the phone and call him, though,
That's money.
Right, that's money.
so we need to terminate the agreement,
Well, I'd like to
my
definitely make a
opinion.
motion.
But if there's opposition to it, we need to speak up.
I don't know if this is the space to do it, but I'd like to make a motion to scratch off that last paragraph, and that other portion on the third paragraph is regarding to Hudson Russ. As far as I'm concerned, it's not, it's two different ideas or two different conversations.
So let me get it straight. You're making a motion to eliminate the last paragraph
Yes, sir.
after be it
Further
further resolved that the city council recognizes the law firm of Hudson. Is that what, that's what you're saying?
That portion right there, and as well as the third paragraph, as whereas the city council recognizes now, notwithstanding the above, the law firm Hudson Russ, which retained through that portion as well.
So you're saying, now therefore be it resolved that the city council of Niagara Falls terminates the
That
engagement?
portion, yes, sir.
Terminate. Okay, so we have on the floor a motion to terminate, to, all right. We have a motion to terminate the legal counsel and eliminate the last two paragraphs of this resolution. Now therefore let it be resolved. The City Council of Niagara Falls, New York hereby terminates the engagement of attorney Jeffrey Palumbo and the law firm of Block, Longo, McMurray, and whatever.
No, not the last two paragraphs. The be it further resolved, the very
That's
last
what I said
paragraph.
original. That's what I
Yes.
said originally. The
Right,
last paragraph. That's
and then the third paragraph from the front.
okay. the third
I'll show you this right here. This one right here. Yes.
Okay. Okay, Mr. DuBois, do you get the motion? that is? The
understand the requested amendment.
the amendment,
Councilman Wiles is proposing to strike the third paragraph on page 1 of item 8. That is the third whereas clause on page 1 of item 8. And to strike the very last paragraph on page 2 of item 8.
the last paragraph, the okay. So the
So from one resolution to two.
put forward.
Strike it out, period. Period.
So you're asking to amend it to remove those?
To remove those, that's it. And then go forward with what's left to actually cancel out the,
So the amendment, the motion is to make the, whereas at the regular meeting July 12, 2023, the Niagara Falls City Council appointed Jeffrey Palumbo, the attorney, to serve as an independent contractor, basis legal counsel, city council, limited purposes for reviewing the city's eminent domain proceedings with Niagara Falls Redevelopment LLC and Blue Apple Properties Incorporated and related proposals, and whereas Mr. Palumbo was retained for that purpose under the retainer agreement negotiated with the mayor pursuant to section 4.36 of the city charter, subsequently approved by the city council on July 26, 2023, and then it will skip down to whereas the city council has therefore determined that the services of Mr. Palumbo are no longer required and should be terminated. Now, therefore, it is resolved that the City Council of the City of Niagara Falls, New York hereby terminates the engagement of attorney Jeffrey Palumbo in the law firm and directs the City Council chairperson to issue a notice of said termination of Mr. Palumbo. End of resolution. That is the motion on the floor. Does everybody understand that? All right. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Who, Brian?
Yeah, second.
Brian seconded the motion? Okay. Is there any opposition to that motion? I think what we're doing here is muddying the water myself.
Yeah, so
but,
I'll just say, I guess from a different perspective, so I agree with the resolution, and I do, as a city council member, recognize that Hodgins Russ is our attorney for this particular situation. I've had a good experience with them. They've come to the meetings. They've acknowledged all of our inquiries every time we have reached out to them. I personally do not have an issue with them on this situation.
What I think will happen is it'll come back and it'll be in front of us again. I don't want to be stuck like on this any longer than we need to. So if we need to push a portion and bring it back, I'm okay with that, because it will probably come back.
Well, right now on the floor is Mr. Myers.
Well, I think it doesn't need to go to a vote,
Yeah. we're going
right?
Yeah, there was a
Right.
motion and a second.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Okay.
You got
Unless there's any
second
further
it?
questions or debate on it, it would then go to a roll call vote.
Okay.
So the vote for the
amended
edit.
version.
To amend, correct.
Okay.
The vote
Correct.
is for
This is
Councilman
the
Miles' motion to amend.
The motion, okay, vote for a motion to amend.
Okay.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Archie?
Yes.
Councilmember Bax?
No.
Councilmember Miles?
Yes.
Councilmember Zajac,
Yes.
Council Chairperson Perry?
No.
3 yeas, 2 nays.
So the motion is carried.
It-
Now we have to vote.
So it passes.
Yeah, it's passed, right. So, the motion to amend, so now we have to vote on the amended version.
On the amended version.
So now we vote on the motion for the amended version.
So would I make a motion? I'll make a motion for that, right?
Okay.
Okay, so, Mr. Chairperson, I move that the council vote to approve the amended resolution relative to the council's termination of separation of legal counsel.
Okay, we have a second for that?
Second.
Okay, any requests for, any more discussion? Okay, I'll just go on record as saying I really think we're going on the wrong direction with this, but okay. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Archie?
Yes.
Councilmember Bax?
Yes.
Councilmember Miles?
Yes.
Councilmember Zajac,
Yes.
Council Chairperson Perry?
Yes,
5 yeas.
the amended resolution is adopted. Okay, only discussion on it. Action item number 9, relative to the appointments of or reappointments of the various city boards and commissions.
So, Mr. Chairman, I move that the council vote to approve the resolution number 9 relative to the council's appointments and reappointments to various city boards and commissions.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Do we have a second?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I forgot my microphone.
It's really soft.
Somebody got to hear it. Okay, any discussion, comments, or questions? All right, any opposition? Okay, Elizabeth, please call the roll.
Councilmember Archie?
Yes.
Councilmember Bax?
Yes.
Councilmember Miles?
Yes.
Councilmember Zajac,
Yes.
Council Chairperson Perry?
Yes,
5 yeas.
5 yeas, the motion is, the resolution is adopted. Okay, the last action item, number 10, relative to the adoption of special rules of order governing presentations at regular meetings of the city council. Do we have a motion to approve?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move that the council vote to approve resolution number 10 relative to the adoption of special rules and of order governing presentations at regular meetings of the city council.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion or questions, comments?
Not really a discussion or comment, but Mr. Du Bois, thank you for this, and as we said previously, with the help with our meetings and getting us a little more structured and in order with this resolution.
Any opposition? Okay, Elizabeth, please call the roll.
Councilmember Archie?
Yes.
Councilmember Bax?
Yes.
Councilmember Miles?
Yes.
Councilmember Zajac,
Yes.
Council Chairperson Perry.
Yes,
5 yeas.
motion is adopted. Well, we got through that part. We're all in one piece still. All right. Moving on to the public speaking for the good of the community. You know, we had a couple people speak, or we had, was it Wendy spoke earlier? Want to move her? Yeah, so we have public speakers?
Yes, yes, sir. Is Wendy Doucette, so is she here?
She left.
Okay. Our next speaker, we have Tanya Barone.
Hello, good evening. My name is Tanya Barone. I'm from 8647 River Shore Drive. I'm here to voice my concerns regarding stray dogs and general care of them and public safety. I have a background in rescue, advocacy, wildlife rehabilitation license through the state of New York. I receive a lot of calls, mostly day to day, on our stray animal problem for people looking for help. So I'm here to address some of the concerns that I've been handling and seeing. One is that we need more dog control officers aside from Donnie Booth, who handles the calls. Our police department, when the dispatcher is notified there's a stray animal, people are being told to hold the dog, release it back to the streets if you have dogs that in your own home that you can't bring this dog in. They're being told, release it back to the street. People are not happy with that. They're being told it's not our problem. There's no DCO on the weekend or when he's on vacation or has a scheduled day off. There's no one to fill in. So now we have animals running loose on the street, getting hit by cars, being taken in by strangers. Is there anyone reporting this? Is there anyone recording who has someone's dog? That's private, that's property. I'm wondering who would be liable if that dog would bite someone while they're trying to pull this dog into the house. If it would bite a child, a person, or intertangle with that person's animals, who would be responsible? That seems like it'd be a lawsuit. I'm kind of nervous for people to just take in a dog that they have no background knowledge on. There's a lot of cruelty and animal abuse going on in our city. We don't know how that dog has been treated, what its triggers are. That's kind of nerve-wracking. People are complaining constantly online and calling me and calling other people that are in rescue that I'm associated with. We need to kind of combat the problem so that it's not out of control. So I don't know if there's something that we can do to contact our legislators to have stricter laws and penalties for people that are abandoning their animals, dumping their animals, or neglecting and abusing their animals, because I know I've called the dog control officer many times, have not gotten a call back, and then there's no follow-up to dogs being in crates outside in backyards in all elements, not being fed and given water properly, being trained to be guard dogs, purposely neglecting them to be mean, being housed in garages that are boarded up with no heat. This is the stuff that's going on. Dogs with padlocks and chains on their neck being tied to trees, now roaming the streets. It was picked up. Don't know where that dog went. That's disheartening because I called mid-November on that dog, and now that dog is who knows where. It was eventually picked up, but it had no teeth in its mouth. It had to have its food pureed at 2 years old. Scars so bad on its neck, I cannot get the dog control officer to call me back. Being that I had information on that dog, they don't want to talk to me now. They've completely blocked me out for asking questions and being concerned. When I've always worked with DEC, Sheriff's Department, our local police department, they've always worked with me. I don't know what's happened these last few months. It's completely out of control. Also, I'm concerned with our new municipal shelter. They are not equipped to handle the influx of dogs from our city. They're getting paid very well. They don't have the staff and the volunteers to handle all of the animals. People are now starting to complain about that, and she is now closed to the public without an application. And then she will call you with an appointment to come see the dog you're interested in. These dogs are gonna sit in kennels, and we're paying for that, and they're not gonna be cared for properly. We're gonna have another SPCA problem on our hands with this shelter, and I can see it coming now.
Thank you, Ms. Barone. Our next speaker is Ryan Bretman.
My name is Ryan Bramer. I live at 824 Ashland Avenue, just south of the Armory, and I work over at the Independent Living Center of Niagara County. I'm here on my own behalf and also as an advocate for my agency. We advocate for disabled people. Walking around the streets of Niagara Falls during the winter presents an additional barrier that I know is a problem that has come before this council in the past. I am bringing you another intractable problem. I apologize. But I do want to paint a little bit of a picture for you. I walk to work almost every day. Just this morning, there's a lady in her 70s navigating through the streets with her walker because she cannot manage the sidewalks. Now, my walk is fairly clear. It's not perfect. But even if I had mine perfect, we all know what happens after that. The plow comes through and throws up pounds and pounds and pounds of brand new slush and snow onto the sidewalk that I just cleared. The house to the east of me has been abandoned for as long as anyone in the neighborhood can remember. No one clears that walk. I clear my mother-in-law's on the other side of me, two additional abandoned houses on the other side of her. Rainbow, which is a fairly thriving business right across the street from me, there's no effort to remove the snow whatsoever from that sidewalk. They do clear their front. In walking here tonight, I don't necessarily want to call anybody out by name, but I'll call out the vacant properties. No one has touched the sidewalk at Choose. No one has touched the sidewalk at CSI. The Armory, of course, looks like brand new fallen snow. Shout out to Simply Soul. Their walk was amazing, completely clear, salted, easily passable by anyone able-bodied or using a mobility device. I know that it's not necessarily clear whose responsibility that is, but I wanted to bring it here tonight so that it's again in the public eye in the hopes that we can come together and do something about it. Thank you for the time.
Okay, our next speaker, and I do apologize, I'm looking at some of the handwriting. I have Darren. Thank you, Darren. What's your last name? Sneed. Thank you, Mr. Sneed.
7376 St. Joseph Road, Niagara Falls. I'm a vice chairman for Independent Living of Niagara County. I work with this gentleman back here. And what he just said about us not knowing who can take care of different things, I know that y'all know who can take care of different things, because we got a whole department that enforces codes and different things as far as sidewalks outside of businesses and things like that. So I think if we get some enforcers out there and start, applying some fines to people who's not doing what they're supposed to do, I think that might light some fire up under some butt and get things done. That's just my opinion, though. But I came here to speak about the, I don't know if all of y'all are aware of the ADA task force that we have in Niagara Falls. It was created with Independent Living of Niagara County, along with the city of Niagara Falls about 3-4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. But I don't know if y'all are aware that we hadn't had a meeting in approximately 3 years. To me, that's kind of a substandard, because it is something that's needed in this city, because me and him, us as an organization, we advocate for people with disabilities, and sometimes we're feeling left out. But if we can't get a scheduled meeting as a group, as a task force, how do we think we're going to help everybody else out? We can't have our own meeting. It's been brought to the attention of the mayor. It's been brought to the attention of the last known ADA coordinator. I heard it was changed. I'm not sure if it's changed or not. And we were promised that we're going to have some meetings. We haven't had any meetings yet. So we bring it to your attention about ADA task force meetings. It's kind of sad, that I heard somebody said about the lawyer, and he's being, we reach out to him and they get information back, but when we reach out to the administration, we get smoke or no response. We scheduled a meeting because we wasn't getting none through the administration last year. I think it was June or July. We sponsored a meeting at our center. We invited City Hall, Niagara Falls, mayor, ADA coordinators. I don't know if the council got invited or not. I'm going to say no. We had a no-show. How you think that makes us feel? Because when we have candidates' days, every election cycle, people come to us and say, well, we're going to look onto it. They write notes, getting other people to write notes. I don't know what happened to the notes, but we still ain't had no meeting yet. If you all can, if I can challenge you all to speak to somebody who handles the ADA task force, to have a meeting, get in contact with Ryan or our center. But we do have a website that's been there for 3 or 4 years, hadn't changed yet. But I clicked on the link to different forums and stuff to complain about. Nothing popped up. Maybe my smartphone is not as smart as I thought it was, and the link is not working or something. But I appreciate if we can look at the website and help us get some meetings. But the thing that you can click on that's on the website, the first thing that says ADA, and it pretty much says Federal Government, Washington, D.C. We shouldn't have to click on that one first. We should be clicking on the one where we can get help in Niagara Falls. But we're going to have to click on another button one day if we don't start getting some help. Not a threat, but I think we all can work together, but we got to do what we got to do. I appreciate it for your time. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Dante Richardson.
Doing Dante Richardson, 248 22nd Street, Niagara Falls, New York, and I'm here to talk about something that this gentleman just brought up. Not assisted living, but digital transformation. So currently, I am the Strategic Innovation Advisor at Cornell Center for Applied Research on Work, and I am the Director of Development for a foundation called Pipe Dreamers Foundation. We have been doing a little bit of work in Niagara Falls. Some of the council members know me. Some of the council members got emails from me and never respond. 2 of them I work pretty closely with. So we have an initiative called the Silicon Falls Initiative in partnership with Cornell and Stanford University. We highlighted it last year at Buffalo Startup Week, been in conversations with the mayor. This initiative is to transform Niagara Falls into a 21st century Rand city. So when I was at Stanford, Palo Alto, pretty small city, similar. We went to council meetings to take notes during my years there going to school. It didn't sound anything like what I'm seeing here. And that's not to degrade anybody on council, but it's just the agenda was different. When you heard things get put on the agenda in Palo Alto, when we used to have to go there to study economic development, you heard things like partnerships with Google, partnerships with Meta, Stanford investing $1 billion here. You kind of don't hear that here, and that's what my organization does. We're looking to change that. So one thing I did when I first moved back to Niagara Falls from New York City, we implemented Stanford University at the high school for dual credit courses, and now we're rolling out a adult program for adults to have digital skills to roll them in to technology jobs. So this morning we had a meeting with Mayor Restano. We brought the biggest technology company in the Buffalo Niagara region to his office this morning. They're called Odoo, by the way. So I brought the head of Odoo to his office. And that discussion was about creating a pipeline for Niagara Falls City residents to get jobs. I don't know if anybody got that memo. You might hear it this Friday on his YouTube channel. But one of the core things that was being asked by Odoo there was how could they create a pipeline here? And it seems like nobody in the city had an answer. So after that, we left. We went to go see the cabin at NU. And NU's not a part of Niagara Falls. They're part of Lewiston. They're not part of the city of Niagara Falls. But they have extreme interests within the city. You see them with multiple developments. The Professional Development Center, I think it's the Professional Development Institution on Niagara, which is completely empty. Cleveland, which is underdeveloped. So we were wondering, like, where do we find the talent to supply Odoo with these jobs? Because they have to hire 350 people in Western New York. We wanted to allocate 50 of those jobs directly to the city of Niagara Falls. It's nowhere for residents here to actually get that training. There's no adult programs. Most adult programs only teach trades, not digital skills which lead you into the future of work. I don't know what you guys are looking at for government. I don't know what the mayor is looking at for governance, but in the next 7 years, AI is supposed to take up 40% of the jobs. I'm pretty sure you guys know about that. I don't know if you do or not, but that means a lot of jobs is gonna be soaked up by AI, and a lot of the residents here can barely use computers. The computer labs that we have here got shut down. SUNY left, the Attain lab, so that's empty. We went up to NCCC earlier today too. This is all in one day, and then I actually came here. We talked about the computer labs that they had, and could we throw a program in, partnered up with Stanford and Google for adult education, and NCCC kind of gave me the nod, like, yes. So my ask to the council is, how do we transform Niagara Falls into a city of the future? Because ever since I've been coming to these, okay.
Hello, State Council again. To connect dots, the resolution in regards to the power of the council is connected by Ms. Barone, who spoke about the dogs, and Mr. Richardson, who spoke about the economy, and the issue with Jeff Palumbo. And how are they? Section 3.4, to enter into contracts, franchises, and other agreements, including agreements with other units of government for all lawful purposes. Let me define one word in that. Franchises, an authorization granted by a government or a company to an individual or a group, enabling them to carry out specified commercial activities. How do we solve issues? How do we solve the problem with the dog catcher? We have someone waiting in the wings with the means, the capability, the heart, the passion, the drive, the resources to take over and become the municipal shelter of the future. And how can that happen? The council can enter into a franchise or into a contract with that vendor. Case solved with the dog catcher. The issue with Jeff Palumbo, if someone could really report what the issue is, why we had to get Jeff Palumbo, I was on the council because our conflicted corporation council and our conflicted soul council of Hodgson and Russ didn't want to go into a negotiation with NFR to get the money and the land that they are offering. We had to go find our own counsel, and they end up failing this. I'd love to see the FOIA request of who talked to Jeff Palumbo, because we got charged when we didn't even use the guy. How much sense does that make? Zero. I'll answer that question for you. It makes none. Sorry, I love you all. Sometimes I get heated, everybody. I'm just sorry. I'm very smiley when I'm not talking, but that's the second issue. And then, going back to that, make sure they offered the city land and money in an agreement to enter into contracts, franchises, and other agreements. That's the power of the council to do that. We accept that agreement. They can build their digital campus. We improve the economy of our land, and we have land and money to do something with. We talk about building. We talk about getting things done in Niagara Falls. They wanted to give us money and land to do it. But then we want to say, oh, that land's not good enough? Accountability. We're taking it from them so we can do something with it. And if I tell you I'm going to build something on land A, how do you hold me accountable? You make me build something on land A. That's how you hold them accountable. That's how we put them to the fire. Okay, you said you want to build it. Okay, big boy, go ahead and build it. That's how we keep them accountable, with that agreement. And the third one, to enter into contracts, franchise, other agreements. Mr. Richardson just talked about develop an initiative to also help spur economic growth in this city. That's a contract or a franchise that the city council can enter into based on the charter, section 3.4F. And there's no qualification after that clause. None. So when the city council says we want to enter into it, boom, we enter into it. That's what the charter does. And that's how the city council spurs growth in this city. That's how the city council writes this situation with the dog, because it is an atrocity what's going on. And we all know it. If she wants to come up, if the current municipal shelter wants to come up and defend her company, has she done it? She's had the time, had the opportunity. Maybe you guys been contacted. I wasn't contacted, and she knew I was at the spot. She knew I was there trying to get into it, trying to check everything. She knew I was there. Didn't say a word. I called her, didn't say a word. So the dogs of this city are suffering. People are suffering. People's hearts are heavy, and we can end that contract, get into another one, because the city council has the power to do it. Given to it by the charter. Given to it because we are the city council. You're the city council. Enter into franchise, enter into contracts, so we can get rid of this bad one and get for the new one for the betterment of this city, so we can get these dogs taken care of. Because, man, my heart is heavy. And I don't even have a dog, but my heart is heavy. I can imagine some of you guys who have dogs. So I just submit to the council. Man, you have the power to enter into contracts, franchises, and agreements. It takes 3 of you to do it. Man, God bless you. God be with you. Thank you for your time.
There are no other speakers.
Okay, so anything else for us tonight? Okay, therefore the meeting's adjourned.